You personally think Dr. Swain is a racist?
I don't know Dr. Swain. What I will say is what's important about the Southern Poverty Law Center's
I'm asking
work
you.
is that it identify where and how we have problems.
I'm asking you. You're choosing not to answer.
This hearing changed the second the conversation shifted into something much bigger than politics. It's whether black conservatives have the ability to think differently without being attacked for it.
The SPLC labeled a brilliant black conservative, the woman sitting to your left, Dr. Carol Swain, a, quote, apologist for white supremacists, close quote, simply for daring to disagree with them. Do you personally think Dr. Swain is a racist?
I don't know Dr. Swain. What I will say is what's important about the Southern Poverty Law Center's
I'm asking
work
you.
is that it identify where and how we have problems.
I'm asking you. You're choosing not to answer. Okay, you don't know her. Have you read any of her writings?
I have not.
Okay, so Dr. Swain, what was the impact of SPLC's radical, unnecessary attack on you? What was the result of that?
It actually set in motion a series of events that led to my return in 2017. Now, there are more things that happened, but once the Southern Poverty Law Center labels a black conservative as an apologist for white supremacists, then people don't know how to process that. But I can tell you that James Taranto of the Wall Street Journal wrote a 2,000-word article in defense of Carol Swain. That's the title of the article, In Defense of Carol Swain. That helped a lot, but I think that it hurt the Southern Poverty Law Center as well, because people knew that if they went after the author of a book on white nationalism, I published with Cambridge Press in 2002 a book, The New White Nationalism in America is Challenged Integration. They went after me, and so I was.
You were a tenured professor,
Yes.
Vanderbilt and Princeton,
Yes.
and it impacted your career.
It
Of course it
definitely
did.
impacted my career.
Thank you for that information.
Guys, listen closely to what she just said. I think this is much bigger than I think what most people are kind of talking about in terms of what's happening here. When she said that being labeled as an arm, basically, of white supremacy, as a black woman here in America, that destroyed her? Oh, yes, that definitely did here. So there may have been people who did not, in fact, know her politics, which is irrelevant in the context of what I'm saying here, but they didn't know her politics. Without even speaking to her, knowing her politics, they lumped her into the Democrat Party kind of by default. So she was kind of part of the family, if that makes any sense here. And then once she was basically labeled as an arm of white supremacy, what immediately happened? The entirety of the black American community immediately turned on her. That's the reality here. So what the Southern Poverty Law Center did here was absolutely obliterate any type of credibility because her ideology did not immediately line up with what the stereotype of what black American politics look like in the United States of America.
It definitely impacted my career.
Thank you for that information. So let's just cut to the chase here. SPLC is closing on an $800 million nest egg. I happen to have their 990 employees and how much they get paid. The president CEO from this filing from 2024, $466,000 is the base salary. Total with perks, $522,000, and you go on down the list. And when the list closed for me, I didn't see anybody making less than $285,000 per year from them. And there's a reason that Charity Watch gives SPLC an F as a charity. The organization's recent federal indictment for wire fraud alleged that it secretly took some of that money, through over $3 million in donor funds, to informants tied to extremist groups like the KKK, Aryan Nations. And it only confirms what mass resistance has warned about for years, that the SPLC was never fighting hate, was manufacturing it to justify existence. Mr. O'Neill was talking about Eisen, who actually was one of the founders, who was attacking the KKK, and then actually had to shift when they put them out of business because they needed money. And so then it became this mission to attack people and falsely label them and basically gin up the basic money machine that they were doing. And I want to ask you, Mr. Perkins. Your team was specifically targeted by SPLC, and as a result of their targeting you for having espousing traditional American and biblical values, there was actually an attempt at mass violence. Can you describe that a little bit and talk about our hero, Leo the hero, just a little bit more?
The gunman, who's now serving prison for domestic terrorism, came into the building with a gun. Leo, who is the building manager, was actually standing at the front, asking what he needed. He pulled the semi-automatic pistol out of the backpack. He began shooting. The first round hit Leo in the arm, shattering his arm. He was still able to take him down. More shots were fired. The bullet holes remained in the walls of our building. Leo was able to disarm him and take him down and even recover the weapon. And following that, watching the footage with the FBI agents who were surveilling it, said, why did he not, he was bleeding out, why didn't he fire the round into Corkins to make sure that he could not come back at him? And I didn't know the answer. As a former police officer, I would have, just as the FBI said, I would have defended myself, not knowing if I was going to pass out. So I asked Leo when he came out of surgery that night. I went to the hospital about midnight. He came out of the hospital, and my first question was, Leo, why didn't you shoot him? And he said, because God told me not to. We're not here for revenge. We're here for justice. And what they have inspired, not just to us, but to thousands of Americans who love this country and happen to believe the Bible as a definitive way to live, they want to silence us. And I stood on the street the day after the shooting, and I'll say it again. We will not be silent. We will not shrink back. We will not apologize for biblical truth.
I've been saying for a while now, okay, if you're going to start attempting to limit free speech at least, or if you're going to attempt to start banning things because they are moderately offensive to you and your echo chamber specifically, you cannot have the people that are creating these stipulations and rules being the ones who are also some of the most emotionally fickle people on the planet. You cannot have a group of people that are completely fine with the idea of manufacturing incidents, okay, to prove a point because they can't actually find the real instances of what they're trying to prove here. Understand this here. Is there racism in the United States of America? Yes. Is there racism in, Southeast Asia? Yes. Is there racism everywhere on the planet? Absolutely here. Okay. Is the overwhelming majority of the people in the United States of America racist? No. You have a bunch of absolute troglodytes that are in fact incredibly racist, period. But is it everyone? No. Is it the overwhelming majority? No. And with that being said, of course, you can't find any actual things at the rate that you're looking to kind of say that things are happening, because of course you need to keep people victims, so they stay needing your help, right? So you can keep getting their vote, so you can keep getting the government funded money. It just comes down to money. It seems like everything is just money oriented. We are in the United States of America. We do live in a capitalist system, if that makes any sense here, guys. So I get it. It's about money. But it's absolutely disgusting to know that you're not trying to actually help the people you're trying to say you are. You're just trying to keep them coddled, okay? Keep them dependent on the government, keep them dependent on government entitlements, etc. Right? You're not trying to help them kind of, pull themselves up by themselves so they get some internal strength, because like I know, the moment they start to kind of pull themselves up and realize that you've been playing them the entirety of the time here, what ends up happening, guys? They're going to end up on the right, bro. Right? But it just takes unfortunately, it takes a gigantic amount of time here, and the right is not very good at advertising, guys. All right. You need to push back. All right. You need to push back pretty hard on some of the literal nonsense. You need some people that have the ability to kind of see both sides of the coin a little bit better. People that have lived on both sides of the world, if that makes any sense, right? That can actually communicate to the people that are absolutely being obliterated by the Democrat Party without even realizing it, guys. All right. You are giving your vote to a party that doesn't care about you. Okay. They need to stay in power so they can keep making these ridiculous funded programs. Okay. So they can pay themselves. That's it here. $480,000 to basically be part of some type of organization that is creating and manufacturing racism in the United States of America. That's a good racket right there. I can see why they want to keep doing that, right? Because the more they do that, the more you believe that it exists, and then the more you then run to their side because they're the ones that are trying to help you, right? Even though they're creating it. Guys, this is ridiculous. All right? Absolutely, utterly befuddling here. But listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. But in the meantime, guys, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.